So, for those of you who don't know, I started playing Hollow Knight over on Twitch about a month ago. Now, of course, Hollow Knight has been out for nearly 9 years. Yeah, that's right, everyone. If you're a die-hard Hollow Knight fan, just remember that the game is nearly a decade old. None of us can escape the inevitable entropy of death and decay. Time will march ever forward, and we will remain behind as nothing more than dust and ruin. Which, despite the depressing sound of it, actually fits pretty well with Hollow Knight. It's a ruined kingdom full of eccentrics and/or infected bugs who have decided to make it their sole mission in their undead lives to fuck me with the Ass Blaster 9000 as I try to figure out what series of poor life decisions have led me to exploring this far into Deep Nest. However, despite all of that, today I want to talk to you about how Hollow Knight managed to capture my complete and utter attention, despite the fact that I have never played any game at all like Hollow Knight ever. Because if you'll look through my YouTube channel, Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail are what I play, and generally about as far as you can get from Hollow Knight. On Twitch, I do play some different things like indie horror games, sometimes Hades 2 if I'm particularly bored, but now I stream Hollow Knight at least once a week and usually more because despite my unending frustration when I get pushed into spikes or fuck up a platforming section, every time I end stream I start counting down the hours until I can play Hollow Knight again. So let's start from the beginning and look at why Hollow Knight might be the best game ever made, from the perspective of somebody who has never played a Metroidvania and, objectively, sucks at playing video games. I, of course, had heard of Hollow Knight when it came out in 2017 because, well, you couldn't avoid it. However, it just wasn't a game on my radar. It was my last year of high school, and as previously mentioned, I had never played any Metroidvania game. And why would I want to play a game about bugs when I could be playing a game with hot anime characters like Persona 5? So, despite the wild popularity, I ignored the game, and I would have continued to ignore the game if you guys hadn't made such a big deal when Silksong was announced. By then, I had a friend who played Hollow Knight nearly religiously and had started another playthrough of Hollow Knight in preparation for Silksong's release. By this point, the thing I knew most about Hollow Knight was that the game was very difficult. As someone who has played a bit of Elden Ring, the idea of a super challenging game did not appeal to me in the slightest. Again, after getting humbled and railed by Radahn more times than years I've been alive on this earth, I thought it just wasn't worth it. Plus, my friend told me that a big part of Hollow Knight is exploring. Now, despite the fact that I play JRPGs and RPGs pretty regularly, I hate exploring. It's why I didn't even get past the starting region in Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and it's why my waypoints in Genshin are never completely unlocked. I find exploring in video games to be, in general, completely tedious and a waste of my fucking time. So hearing that Hollow Knight was a game heavy in exploration and was really difficult, yeah, I didn't think I was ever actually going to pick up the game. But then something came across my YouTube feed around Christmas time. It was actually a video by Mossbag, and that video was the somewhat complete lore of Silksong, because those who avoid spoilers have weak, tiny, itty-bitty baby brains, and I am a god among men. Now, of course, I didn't decide to play Hollow Knight because of one video. I mean, come on, guys. Did you think one video was going to be enough to convince me to play Hollow Knight? I'm not that easily influenced. It took 2 videos. The second video was actually by Fat Brett, and it was a video analyzing Sherma from Silksong. Sherma is absolutely adorable and a baby, and I would die for them in a heartbeat. And I realized that if I wanted to play Silksong, which by now through these 2 videos I definitely did want to play, I was gonna actually have to get good, as they say, and play Hollow Knight. I was expecting a slog, honestly. Even as I downloaded the very nicely discounted bundle, my only thought was, Hornet, my queen, soon we will be together. But then I actually started playing Hollow Knight, and it was honestly amazing. The exploring didn't bother me at all, which shocked me. Even when I would die, clear across the map, and have to make my way back over, which obviously doesn't happen that often because I am a god tier gamer. Bitch! Oh, the map man's up there. Oh, don't hit me. Please don't hit me. Oh, please don't hit me. I swear to God if I die right here. Stream is off to a great start. It's gonna be just amazing. It didn't feel tedious or troublesome. When I encountered difficult bosses, I didn't feel completely demoralized when I was punted into a wall. Instead, I found myself obsessively playing the game. Every time I would eventually get frustrated and I'd be like, ugh, I can't do this anymore. And I'd shut the game down. And then 20 minutes later, I would be like, you know what sounds amazing? Playing more Hollow Knight. This game, which should be absolutely everything I hate in a game, difficult, exploration heavy, platforming, no hot anime men or women, sucked me in better than anything else really ever has. And then I started diving more into Hollow Knight's lore. The lore surrounding Hollow Knight is fascinating in ways I couldn't even begin to comprehend at first. Watching lore video after lore video from CC Maki, Fat Brett, and Mossbag analyzing these smallest aspects of this world and seeing some of the themes that they brought forward served to keep me completely and totally enraptured in this game. And then, of course, there was the rest of the community. The community of Hollow Knight is one of the best communities I've ever been in. Now, granted, maybe I've just gotten lucky and I've met all of the nice people in the fandom and I've not seen the toxic side. But when I first started playing the game on stream in January, I thought, oh, this is going to be a one off because no one's going to be interested. The game is old and it's my first time playing through. Who would actually want to watch me play? But every time someone new joined my chat, when I would start preparing myself for them to point out how much I sucked or how terribly I was doing because I got very used to the Genshin community, all they would say is, I remember being stuck here forever. Or whenever I lost 1.1k Geo, which I had been saving up for the stupid little lantern Sly sells you. Seriously, why the fuck is he ripping me off so hard for what's essentially a glorified flashlight? Instead, chatters were like, LMAO, that sucks. It only gets worse from here. I remember losing 4k Geo once, and it was heartbreaking. We laugh and joke around, and everyone is genuinely so excited whenever I beat a boss. My chat has helped me get through tough areas and helped me on my way to exploring. Every time before they post something, someone asks, are you cool with spoilers? Or would you like some help? It's so weirdly supportive in a way that I have literally never experienced in any video game I've ever played ever. The community was so warm and welcoming, even to somebody who knew literally nothing about their game or how Metroidvanias work, that it gave me the encouragement to keep going. Now, as I'm playing, everything is starting to feel a bit easier. Platforming and timing is still not my strong suit, and I mess up plenty, but where before I would get frustrated in other games and honestly probably quit, Hollow Knight makes me feel like things are still achievable. When I make a mistake in Hollow Knight, it just doesn't feel like a failure. It feels like a step in the process. Exploring is fun, not because there's tons of hidden secrets, though there are plenty of those, and honestly, the cute little grubs do help, but because the world feels lived in. Every time I go and explore somewhere, I learn something new about this world with little bugs. I meet a new character, or I finally find Conifer, who has decided he needs to be in the most inconvenient places possible if he wants to sell me his maps. I feel a part of the story in a way that I don't feel with RPGs, which I know kind of sounds ironic. Of course, I already know all of the overall story beats because, again, I did watch lore videos, but as I play through the game, I find new things that surprise me. Everything from the music to the art to the game mechanics to the characters themselves build a game that feels good to play through from a gaming perspective, but also completely gets me immersed into the storytelling that they're trying to provide for me. And this is coming from somebody who is, generally pretty terrible at video games. Hollow Knight is a hard game, one of the hardest I've ever played, but the game isn't punishing. This game about bugs and gods doesn't make you feel small. Okay, well, it sort of does, but not in the sense that you're not going to eventually be able to beat the boss. The progression feels natural. As things get more difficult, you get good, but it's not a grind. I don't feel like I have to constantly run back through areas to grind for XP like I did in Elden Ring. In a sense, leveling up feels less like reaching some magical new level, or putting points into vitality or endurance. It feels more like I have evolved as a player. The knight and I are leveling up together because we're both getting better at the game, even if I still can't pogo worth a damn. Hollow Knight is a game I completely overlooked, a game that I completely underestimated, and it's a game that has completely stolen all of my attention and interest. I am nowhere near done with my first playthrough. I haven't defeated any of the Dreamers, and I have not even gotten to Kingdom's Edge yet. But there's a part of me that's dreading the day that I'll be done with Hollow Knight, simply because for the first time in a long time, I found a game that, so far at least, has brought me nothing but enjoyment. I love the games I play on stream. I love Genshin and Honkai Star Rail. I love horror games like Little Nightmares. I've been looking forward to Reanimal, which is releasing on February 13th, for literally ever. But even though I do love these games, eventually I get frustrated or bored. Honkai Star Rail's writing can be hit or miss. Genshin feels way too grindy, and I get bored playing between story updates. Little Nightmares was fun, but after several playthroughs, everything just kind of feels worn out. The world isn't exciting. But Hollow Knight, despite being a genre of game I would never have thought to play on my own, has taken the bits and pieces I love from every game I've ever played and created something completely unique and amazing to play. I'm not sure I can say Hollow Knight is my favorite game of all time. Kingdom Hearts 2 will probably forever hold that place in my heart. But Hollow Knight is a game that I can imagine replaying over and over. And I'm thankful, not just to Team Cherry for making the game, but to the Hollow Knight community for being so welcoming and creating this amazing experience for me. At the end of the day, I think Hollow Knight is perhaps one of the most well crafted games I've ever played, not just because the game itself is amazing, but because the community that Team Cherry has inspired keeps this game alive in ways that other games simply don't have. So that's the end of the video. It's been a long time since I've made long form content on the channel. I'm currently working on my History of Teyvat series and giving it a bit of an update. Right now, the latest video I'm working on is the History of the Moons in Teyvat, which hopefully should be ready to release in a few weeks. Other than my typical Genshin and Honkai Star Rail content, I do want to start expanding my video topics, like this Hollow Knight video. I'm also going to be doing a video on the Fate franchise because God gave me free will and I intend to make that a you problem. So, to that end, please leave any recommendations in the comments, be it games to play, videos to make, or animes to watch. I stream over on Twitch at least twice a week, and I stream pretty much whatever I want to over there. Here on YouTube, I stream Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail, so follow or subscribe if that sounds good. Links will be left in the description. Usually for my Genshin videos, I end with May the Wind Bless Your Travels, and with Honkai Star Rail, I end with May Your Journey Take You Starward. But I'm not really sure how to end a Hollow Knight video, so I'll leave that for you guys to discuss in the comments. Also, I do want to thank my YouTube channel members like Lols and Agni for helping support me as I continue to make content. With that, I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace out.